What if I told you that the places you visit could be silently draining your life force, lowering your vibration, and blocking your spiritual ascension? Most people have no idea they're walking into energetic traps designed to keep humanity operating at the lowest frequencies possible. You weren't born to live in spiritual poverty. You weren't meant to feel disconnected, anxious, and energetically depleted. But there are specific locations on this planet that function as vibrational vampires, places where your consciousness gets hijacked and your natural state of high-frequency bliss gets systematically destroyed. The controllers of this reality know exactly what they're doing. They've created environments that appear harmless, even entertaining, but are actually sophisticated frequency manipulation systems designed to keep you trapped in lower dimensional consciousness. Today, I'm exposing the 5 most dangerous places that will instantly crash your vibration and block your spiritual evolution. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Because once you understand how these energetic traps work, you can protect yourself and reclaim the high-frequency life you were meant to live. Number 1. Nightclubs and bars. Nightclubs and bars aren't just places of entertainment. They're spiritual black holes designed to strip away your connection to higher consciousness and trap you in the lowest vibrational frequencies possible. Every element of these environments has been carefully engineered to overwhelm your spiritual senses and open doorways to entities that feed off human energy. The moment you step into these places, you're bombarded with sensory assault designed to bypass your spiritual defenses. The flashing lights aren't random. They operate at specific frequencies that induce altered states of consciousness, the same frequencies used in mind control and hypnosis experiments. These strobing patterns disrupt your pineal gland function and block your connection to source consciousness. The music isn't just loud, it's weaponized sound designed to shatter your auric field and make you vulnerable to psychic intrusion. The bass frequencies literally vibrate at levels that interfere with your heart chakra and solar plexus. This disrupts the energy centers responsible for personal power and emotional balance. The lyrics, often celebrating violence, sexual degradation, and materialism, program your subconscious mind with low vibrational thought patterns. But here's what they don't want you to know. Alcohol isn't just a chemical depressant. It's a spiritual solvent that dissolves the protective barriers around your consciousness. The word alcohol comes from the Arabic al-kul, meaning body-eating spirit. Ancient cultures understood that consuming alcohol literally invites entity attachment by lowering your vibrational frequency and creating holes in your auric field. Watch how people's personalities completely change in these environments. The shy become aggressive, the moral become promiscuous, the peaceful become violent. This isn't just letting loose, it's demonic possession on a mass scale. These places become feeding grounds for low vibrational entities. These entities attach to people whose spiritual defenses have been chemically and energetically compromised. The darkness isn't just atmospheric, it's literal spiritual darkness. These environments deliberately exclude natural light and operate in artificially created shadows where predatory energies can move freely. The crowded conditions create a collective energy field of lust, greed, desperation, and ego that instantly pulls your vibration down to match the lowest common denominator. Notice how you feel the next day after visiting these places, not just physically hungover, but spiritually drained, emotionally heavy, and mentally foggy. That's because your life force energy has been harvested, and your energy field has been contaminated with the psychic debris of hundreds of other people operating at their lowest vibrational state. The dance floors become ritual spaces where people unconsciously perform movements that mimic ancient fertility rites and summoning ceremonies. The repetitive hypnotic movements combined with altered consciousness create the perfect conditions for entity attachment and spiritual contamination that can take weeks or months to clear. Number 2. Gluttonous buffet restaurants. All-you-can-eat buffets aren't just restaurants. They're temples dedicated to the deadly sin of gluttony, designed to corrupt your relationship with sacred nourishment and trap you in cycles of addiction that block spiritual awakening. These establishments operate as energetic vortexes that celebrate excess, waste, and the complete abandonment of self-control. The moment you enter these places, you're encouraged to abandon one of the most fundamental spiritual disciplines: moderation. The unlimited philosophy directly opposes the universal law of balance and creates an artificial reality where consequences seem suspended. This programming doesn't stay confined to food. It spills over into every area of life, creating personalities addicted to excess in relationships, spending, entertainment, and material consumption. The energy field in these restaurants vibrates with frequencies of never enough, competitive hoarding, and unconscious consumption. Watch how people behave, piling plates higher than they can possibly eat, returning for multiple trips even when already full, treating food as a conquest rather than sacred fuel for the body temple. This creates a collective consciousness of scarcity and greed that instantly lowers your vibration. The food itself has been stripped of life force energy through industrial processing, chemical preservation, and mass production. But more than that, it's been energetically contaminated by the greed consciousness of the entire system. When you consume food that has been prepared with profit-over-people mentality and served in an environment celebrating overconsumption, you're literally eating low vibrational frequencies. These establishments train you in the spiritual practice of unconscious consumption, eating without awareness, gratitude, or connection to the source of your nourishment. This unconsciousness creates patterns that extend far beyond food into unconscious consumption of media, relationships, experiences, and energy. You become a spiritual consumer rather than a conscious creator. The waste generated in these places creates negative karma that affects everyone who participates. Food that could nourish hungry people gets thrown away because eyes were bigger than stomachs. This violation of sacred reciprocity with the earth and its creatures creates energetic debt that weighs down your spiritual evolution. Notice how these environments trigger comparison and competition. People watching what others take, judging portion sizes, feeling ashamed or defensive about their choices. This social programming activates survival brain patterns that shut down higher consciousness and keep you operating from animal instincts rather than spiritual wisdom. The artificial abundance of these places creates an illusion that disconnects you from natural cycles of scarcity and plenty. You lose touch with the sacred rhythms of hunger and satisfaction that connect you to your body's wisdom and the earth's seasonal cycles. This disconnection from natural law blocks your ability to align with universal flow. The overstimulation of taste buds with artificial flavors, excessive salt, sugar, and fat creates addiction patterns in your nervous system. But more than physical addiction, it creates energetic addiction to stimulation, intensity, and artificial highs. This makes the subtle frequencies of spiritual bliss seem boring by comparison. Number 3. Sportsbooks and gambling establishments. Gambling establishments aren't just entertainment venues. They're energy-harvesting facilities designed to worship the false god of chance while systematically draining your life force and trapping you in cycles of spiritual poverty. These places operate as modern temples to the demon of mammon. Here, human hope and desperation are converted into pure energetic currency for entities that feed off financial anxiety. The moment you enter these environments, you're subjected to sophisticated psychological warfare designed to override your connection to divine providence and universal abundance. The flashing lights, constant noise, and artificial atmosphere create sensory overload that disconnects you from your intuitive guidance system. the inner knowing that would normally protect you from making spiritually harmful decisions. The architecture itself is spiritually toxic. No windows to connect you with natural light and Earth's electromagnetic field. No clocks to keep you anchored in sacred time. Recycled air that prevents you from breathing the life force that flows through natural environments. These spaces are designed to create an artificial reality bubble where normal spiritual laws seem suspended and illusion becomes more real than truth. But here's the deeper truth. Gambling isn't about money. It's about rejecting divine timing and trying to manipulate universal flow through force and desperation. When you gamble, you're essentially declaring to the universe that you don't trust the natural abundance that flows when you align with your soul's purpose. You're choosing artificial shortcuts over authentic spiritual development. The energy field in these places vibrates with frequencies of desperation, false hope, addiction, and the worship of material security over spiritual trust. Thousands of people have lost their homes, families, and futures in these spaces, leaving behind psychic imprints of devastation that contaminate everyone who enters. You're not just gambling with money, you're gambling with your spiritual integrity. Watch how these environments affect human behavior. Rational people making irrational decisions, spiritual people abandoning their values, conscious people becoming unconscious. This isn't just poor judgment, it's evidence of entity influence that feeds off the energy of desperation and broken dreams. The free drinks aren't hospitality, they're spiritual sabotage designed to lower your vibrational frequency and cloud your decision-making abilities. Alcohol, as we've discussed, creates holes in your auric field that make you vulnerable to negative entity attachment and energetic manipulation. The gambling industry knows that intoxicated people are easier to control and more likely to make destructive choices. The mathematical certainty that the house always wins creates an energy field of inevitable loss that programs failure consciousness into everyone who participates. Even when you win, you're being programmed to believe that success comes from external chance, rather than internal alignment with universal abundance principles. These establishments prey on spiritual emptiness, people seeking excitement, meaning, and transcendence through external stimulation rather than inner development. But the temporary high of winning or the drama of losing becomes a substitute for authentic spiritual experiences, keeping you trapped in lower dimensional consciousness. The instant gratification programming of these places corrupts your ability to trust divine timing and work with natural manifestation cycles. You become addicted to immediate results rather than learning the spiritual patience required for authentic abundance. That aligns with your highest good and the good of all. Number 4. Hospitals and medical facilities. While hospitals serve crucial functions in emergency medicine, these facilities have become some of the most spiritually toxic environments on the planet, saturated with frequencies of fear, pain, and death that can instantly crash your vibration and create energetic attachments that follow you home. The modern medical system operates on paradigms that fundamentally deny your spiritual nature and divine healing abilities. The electromagnetic pollution alone is devastating to sensitive souls. X-ray machines, MRI scanners, Wi-Fi networks, fluorescent lighting, and electrical equipment running 24/7 create electromagnetic fields so intense they scramble your bioelectric system and disrupt the natural flow of life force energy through your meridians and chakras. Many people report feeling immediately drained, dizzy, or emotionally unstable within minutes of entering these facilities. But the electromagnetic assault pales compared to the psychic pollution. Imagine thousands of people daily experiencing their worst moments, receiving terminal diagnoses, saying goodbye to loved ones, facing their mortality in terror rather than peace. This creates an accumulated energy field of collective trauma that permeates every surface, every molecule of air, every corner of these buildings. The pharmaceutical approach to healing operates on frequencies of symptom suppression rather than addressing spiritual and energetic root causes. This creates an institutional vibration of disempowerment and learned helplessness that affects everyone who enters. Instead of teaching people to trust their body's divine wisdom and innate healing abilities, these environments program dependence on external authority and toxic interventions. The antiseptic smell that burns your nostrils isn't just cleaning agents. These synthetic compounds suppress your immune system and interfere with your body's natural detoxification processes. You're literally breathing frequency-lowering chemicals designed to make you sicker, not healthier. The sterile environment eliminates beneficial bacteria and natural microorganisms that support immune function and spiritual grounding. Medical professionals, despite good intentions, often carry vibrations of stress, burnout, and emotional overwhelm from constantly dealing with human suffering. Their energy fields become contaminated with collective pain, and this contamination transfers to patients through proximity and touch. Many healthcare workers are spiritually depleted and unconsciously pass that depletion to those they're trying to help. The artificial lighting disrupts your pineal gland function and blocks natural healing processes that require specific light frequencies for cellular regeneration. The constant noise pollution from machines, intercoms, and activity keeps your nervous system in hypervigilance, preventing the deep relaxation necessary for authentic healing. The very architecture lacks any connection to sacred geometry, natural beauty, or healing frequencies. Everything reinforces the illusion that you are merely a physical body subject to random disease, rather than a powerful spiritual being capable of miraculous healing when aligned with natural law and divine consciousness. The food served, processed, microwaved, nutritionally dead, vibrates at frequencies so low, it actually robs your body of life force energy rather than providing it. Patients are fed the same toxic substances that contributed to their illness in the first place, ensuring continued dependence on the medical system rather than genuine healing. Hospital policies often separate people from their spiritual support systems, limiting visitors, restricting healing practices, and creating isolation that makes patients more vulnerable to institutional programming and less connected to the love and prayer that facilitate true healing. Number 5. High crime or gang activity neighborhoods. High crime neighborhoods aren't just dangerous physically. They're spiritual war zones where the collective consciousness has been so damaged that these areas become portals for dark energies and entities that feed off human suffering, violence, and despair. These environments carry frequencies of trauma, hopelessness, and predatory consciousness that can contaminate your energy field and lower your vibration for weeks after exposure. The violence that occurs in these areas doesn't just affect the immediate victims. It creates energetic imprints that saturate the entire environment. Every act of aggression, every moment of terror, every life taken in anger leaves behind psychic residue that sensitive individuals can feel immediately upon entering these spaces. You're not just visiting a neighborhood, you're entering a graveyard of shattered dreams and broken spirits. The poverty consciousness prevalent in these areas operates at some of the lowest frequencies possible. Vibrations of scarcity, victimhood, and powerlessness that can instantly pull down even the most spiritually protected individual. When survival becomes the only focus, connection to higher consciousness gets severed, and people become trapped in animal brain responses that block access to divine guidance and spiritual solutions. Gang activity creates tribal warfare energies that mirror the lowest aspects of human consciousness. The territorial violence, the initiation rituals involving harm to others, the worship of false power through intimidation. All of this generates a collective energy field that attracts malevolent entities and dark spiritual forces that feed off human suffering and perpetuate cycles of violence. Drug activity in these areas isn't just about chemical addiction. It's about spiritual possession on a mass scale. The entities that attach to people using consciousness-altering substances don't stay contained to the users. They spread throughout the environment, creating atmospheric contamination that affects everyone in the vicinity, including innocent children who have no spiritual protection against these influences. The hopelessness and despair that pervades these environments creates a collective death wish that can be psychically transmitted to visitors. Even spiritually strong individuals report feeling suicidal ideation, depression, and existential despair after spending time in areas where these frequencies dominate the collective consciousness. The broken family structures, absent fathers, traumatized mothers, and children raising themselves creates intergenerational patterns of spiritual disconnection that compound over time. Each generation becomes more divorced from natural spiritual protection and divine guidance, making these communities increasingly vulnerable to predatory energies and destructive influences. The constant state of hypervigilance required for physical survival in these areas keeps residents trapped in fight-or-flight nervous system activation that blocks access to higher brain functions and spiritual awareness. When all your energy goes toward basic survival, there's nothing left for soul development, creative expression, or spiritual evolution. The abandonment of these areas by those with resources creates a concentration of spiritual toxicity. All the people who could raise the vibration through their presence, resources, and spiritual development have fled, leaving behind a concentrated field of despair, anger, and abandoned hope that becomes increasingly dense over time. Law enforcement and emergency responders who regularly work in these areas often become energetically contaminated themselves, carrying the trauma and dark energies they encounter back to their own families and communities. This creates a spreading effect where the spiritual toxicity doesn't stay contained but spreads through the larger social network. Understanding why these places affect you so profoundly requires grasping the quantum nature of consciousness and energy. Your body is not solid matter. It's a sophisticated bioelectric antenna constantly receiving and transmitting frequency information. Every environment you enter either elevates or degrades your vibrational signature based on the dominant energies present. Your cellular structure responds to electromagnetic input from your environment faster than it responds to your conscious thoughts. This means that even if you maintain positive thinking in negative environments, your biological systems are still being influenced by toxic frequencies surrounding you. Your biofield, the electromagnetic envelope around your body, automatically entrains to whatever frequencies are strongest in your immediate vicinity. Mirror neurons in your brain automatically copy the emotional and energetic states of people around you. This evolutionary mechanism helped our ancestors survive by quickly detecting danger or safety in social groups. But in spiritually toxic environments, these same neurons make you vulnerable to absorbing other people's trauma, addiction, violence, and despair without your conscious awareness. Your pineal gland, your biological connection to higher consciousness, is particularly sensitive to electromagnetic pollution, artificial lighting, and psychic contamination. The frequencies present in these toxic environments can calcify this gland and block your access to intuition, spiritual insight, and higher dimensional awareness that would normally guide you away from harmful situations. The accumulated emotional residue in physical spaces creates what researchers call place memory, electromagnetic imprints that persist long after original events. When you enter locations where intense negative emotions have been repeatedly experienced, you're not just dealing with current energies, but potentially decades or centuries of accumulated spiritual pollution. The solution isn't to live in fear, but to develop spiritual intelligence about environmental energies and make conscious choices that support rather than sabotage your evolution. Your awareness of these dynamics is already a form of protection because conscious beings naturally begin avoiding what harms them and seeking what heals them. Grounding practices, direct skin contact with Earth's electromagnetic field through bare feet on natural surfaces, can help discharge toxic frequencies and restore your natural high vibration state. Even 5 minutes of barefoot contact with grass, sand, or stone can neutralize hours of exposure to artificial electromagnetic fields and psychic contamination. Breathwork and meditation create coherent electromagnetic patterns in your body that become more resistant to external frequency manipulation. When your heart rate variability is coherent and your brainwaves are synchronized, you develop energetic immunity that protects against vibrational contamination from your environment. Spiritual protection through prayer, visualization, and connection with your higher power creates an energetic shield that deflects negative influences while allowing positive energies to flow freely. This isn't superstition, it's quantum physics. Your consciousness literally generates protective electromagnetic fields when aligned with divine love and spiritual truth. Crystal protection carries scientific validity through the piezoelectric properties of certain minerals. Black tourmaline, shungite, and hematite can absorb, transform, and redirect toxic electromagnetic frequencies, creating a buffer between your biofield and environmental contamination. These aren't magical talismans, but electromagnetic tools with measurable effects. Sacred geometry and high vibrational art in your living space creates standing wave patterns that maintain elevated frequencies even when you return from exposure to toxic environments. Your home becomes a frequency sanctuary that gradually cleanses and restores your natural spiritual state through geometric resonance and beauty therapy. Understanding that you are a sovereign spiritual being with the power to choose your vibrational state regardless of external circumstances is the ultimate protection. No environmental frequency can override your conscious decision to maintain connection with source consciousness and operate from love rather than fear. Breaking free from environmental frequency manipulation isn't about becoming paranoid or isolating yourself from the world. It's about developing spiritual discernment that allows you to navigate reality while maintaining your energetic integrity and spiritual sovereignty. Every choice to avoid or minimize exposure to these toxic environments is a vote for your spiritual evolution and a refusal to participate in the collective programming that keeps humanity trapped in lower dimensional consciousness. You're not just protecting yourself. You're contributing to the planetary awakening by maintaining higher frequencies that inspire others. As more people develop this awareness and start making conscious choices about where they invest their time and energy, we create a ripple effect that transforms the collective consciousness. Your individual commitment to maintaining high vibration contributes to the global shift toward higher consciousness that's already accelerating across the planet. The old systems that depend on keeping humanity in low vibrational states are crumbling because increasing numbers of people are choosing to operate from higher frequencies of love, truth, and spiritual connection. Your awareness of these environmental traps and commitment to avoiding them is part of humanity's spiritual liberation. Remember, you are not a victim of your environment. You are a powerful creator being with the divine right and ability to choose your vibrational state, regardless of external circumstances. Use this knowledge wisely, share it with others ready to receive it, and watch as your life transforms when you consistently choose environments and experiences that support your highest spiritual potential. The frequency war for human consciousness is real, but love is already winning. And you, operating at your highest vibrational capacity, are an unstoppable force for positive transformation in this world. Your spiritual sovereignty is your birthright. Claim it, protect it, and let it shine as a beacon for others still finding their way home to truth.